spit done gone inside the gutter. Knock off when you open your mouth. Discrimination in entertainment, and you're talking about one Guyana. When the Ministry of Culture keep the big shows, one set of girls and banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how we evil set up. The people fed up. Every picture you take and promise you make, everything you do is about clout. When you come into me for I shake your hand, there's nothing to smile about. Corruption inside every sector, but when it comes to them they send you. Try investigate efficiency, right? Go talk to Baratans too. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how we evil set up. The people fed up. I done fed up on the dirty water, low pressure, want scream and tell somebody. Imagine 1500 US and they're telling me super salary. I can't take it no more, I can't take it no more, can't take it no more. Imagine 18 hours a blackout and you're telling people progress. Cost of living gone up 100%, yet you give public servant less. Mr. President, listen to the people, search your soul and you will confess. I want you try surviving on the public base, then you're gonna know but stress. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how we evil set up.
Good night and welcome to Over to You. Sorry, Wayne Caesar, as you already know, this is not Wayne Caesar's voice. Wayne Caesar is not with us tonight. At least he's not on the show. He has an emergency, just not something to panic about, but his mother is a little under the weather, and so he is with his mother this evening. We should hear from him though, maybe at some point in time before the end of the program, which ends at 8 o'clock. Good night to all of you, wherever you are. It's Over to You. I know some of you have been waiting to hear Wayne Caesar, and some of you probably, when you realize that it's me, you suck your teeth, right? We're accustomed to that. It's part of living. Some like you and some don't like you. What am I going to do, right? Good night to all of you. We have lots of things to talk about this evening. And I'm trying to get the energy of a Wayne Caesar energy for his show. Don't be distracted by my haircut. I know a lot of you may probably want to, for good luck, what they say, you rub the head for good luck. All right. Again, good evening to all of you. And let's get down to some business. Yes, and Wayne didn't ask me to broadcast it. Sometimes families like to keep whatever it is within the family. And since his mother is a little under the weather, and that's all I'm about to say, I give my mouth liberty. She's a little under the weather. And so we pray for a speedy recovery for Mrs. Caesar, Wayne Caesar, and Gavin and our other siblings are praying for her. Nothing to panic about, like I've said, but she needs prayers indeed. All right, so thank you all. I've noticed you're wishing get well for his mom. All right, so as we move on in today's program, we have lots and lots of things to talk about. The RSS officers are in the country. They are in Guyana. They seem to be visiting Guyana quite often. Every single thing is Guyana. They're back in Guyana again. And the last time, one or maybe two of them, they went in, I do believe, for the Paper Shorts murder to get some evidence to able to ascertain who really, the circumstances of the killing of Paper Shorts. So the RSS officer or officers were back then. They just paid a quick visit. They never interviewed the whistleblower, so to speak, of the Guyana police force, Detective Sergeant Dion Bascom. They ignored him completely, and they left, pretending as though nothing really happened. But that's when everybody, Sam Guru and Guru Suru, they were all together, right? Sam Guru and Guru Suru, they were all together. Now Sam Guru and Guru Suru are fighting each other. That's the nature, right? It's greed, it's politics, it's business, it's just greed. And so when friends fall out, you sometimes just gotta grab your cup of coffee, whatever, mobby, a glass of mobby, and you just throw back and you watch Sam Guru and Guru Suru fighting, going at each other. It's probably going to get worse. Who knows? But some are saying that Sam Guru and Guru Suru might be playing some sort of a game. I'm not yet convinced that it's a game, but you've got to be careful. You've got to be careful with what's happening, politically speaking, that is. And so one of the things that I've noticed, though, is if you take a look at this, the Baku or whoever the Baku speaks and these sort of PPP Bakus, they are going and they are going back to old clips. And in order, they're picking up these old clips. Look, I've been consistent with the Mohammeds. I've been consistent since 2012, 2013, 2011. And I have not changed my views. Completely not. And so they go back to these old clips and they say, hey, here, Benschop was calling for the police to investigate the paper shorts. Of course, the consistency is there. But what the Baku with Kwame Liklip and all of these guys are going, they're going back to these old clips. And suddenly, they're posting either what Bascom said way back, what others said way back, in order to prop up their little game, their little fight that they have amongst each other. But I'm watching on and I'm smiling. Of course, this is if you see me there talking about the paper shorts murder, that was about 2 years ago or over 2 years ago. So suddenly they just love that. But back then they weren't. They were cursing me and because they were all together, Samgur and Guru Suru. That's what I call them right now. So let them cuss each other, let them battle each other, Samgur and Guru Suru. But before we get into some other matters that I wish to discuss on Over to You, Wayne Caesar is not here tonight. So how many of you guys have confidence in these RSS officers? They are in Guyana right now to investigate the murders, the police shootings of those two guys. The shootings, the shootings. Sherwin Green is saying he thought Dion Bascom withdrew the state. No, it's not the case at all. It was not the case. It was dropped. So Sherwin Green, make your phone calls, do some digging. It was dropped. It wasn't withdrawn. It was dropped. But we're not going to get into that. That's not the focus tonight, whether it was withdrawn or not. It was dropped. In fact, the Mohammeds decided that they're not going to go forward with it, and it was dropped. So that's the matter. But as we focus here now on the RSS officers, what is your take on the RSS officers? Do you guys have any confidence with these RSS officers being there? They haven't proven a case since then. They haven't proven a case since then. They went during the Henry Boyce, and then they went during the Paper Shorts murder. They left people disappointed. I'm not saying that these are the same officers. I don't know. But they left people just hanging high and dry with the Henry Boyce. They went back again during the Paper Shorts. They left people high and dry. And now they're back again. And so what the members of the Guyana Police Force are going to do, they're just going to take them around, make them feel happy, and all manner of things. And then when they leave, they're going to say reports inconsistent and all manner of things to fix this thing. And that's just my opinion. I'd be surprised if they render any sort of justice to the family or expose members of the Guyana police force. They may very well leave by saying that they haven't been able to prove the shell, whether the shell came from the police, a police weapon, or whatever. All manner of things they are going to probably pop up. But I'm not optimistic that they are going to point fingers in the direction of the Guyana police force. They may very well say that the crowd was hostile, and as a result of that hostility, they don't know who did the shooting, and all sort of Jim Cockburn Ramgoat story. I am not confident that they are going to uh, give the sort of result or results that the people want to hear. They may give some sort of result as it pertains to the murder of Peters. Maybe, who knows? But this is all just a game to basically calm things down. And as you know, just like the Henry Boys, the evidence was glaring. Just like Paper Shorts, the evidence was glaring. But then again, they're back again for Mabi, Swang, Puri, maybe a little night out around the tongue. And guess who? Guess who will be following them around? Suspicious officers, questionable officers. You know. And then the question is, tell us three cases in GT, Georgetown, Guyana, that the RSS has ever solved. Have they ever solved any crime, anything since they've been visiting Guyana? Nope. The answer is nope. I notice Peter Graham is saying here, and we agree with Peter Graham, that what is it Peter Graham is saying here? That the RSS, they lack the sophistication. I believe that's what Peter Graham probably is alluding to. That, yeah, they lack the investigative capacity to investigate such matters. And I agree with Peter Graham. And by the time they got there, guess what? The spent shell's missing. They switch it up. They probably just already went into some other area and fire another shell, another shot, and switch the shell casing. They could very well do that to cover up for each other. And so by the time the RSS officers get to Guyana, everything is already covered up. Covered up. That's what it's about. So here we go again. Here we go again. What else it is that we can discuss? What else you guys want us to discuss? The disgusting PPP. Yeah, we can talk about that. Let's go straight to New Amsterdam. But many of you guys know it as New Amsterdam. How many of you recognize this particular building? This building. If you recognize this building, you get a free minibus trip to New Amsterdam, a free minibus trip to New Amsterdam. How many of you guys recognize this building? How many of you guys, Sabertree Rose says it's a hospital. Let me see. How many of you guys recognize this building? Golly God asked if it's still standing. I think they took it down. Astel Ogle says it's the Madhouse. No, that's not Freedom House. How dare you? This is far from Freedom House. So the Madhouse might very well be Freedom House, but no, it's not the Madhouse. Those who are saying it's the Madhouse are not familiar with New Amsterdam. Veronica Hospital says it's, and Desiree Emmanuel is saying New Amsterdam. That's the old New Amsterdam Hospital. Beautiful. Beautiful hospital back then. And of course, Rhonda Lay knows that. She is a former nurse. Well equipped back then. New Amsterdam Hospital. And it started to run down under the PPP regime. And they started to underpay the nurses, underpay doctors, politicize everything. And then they built a new hospital, or a so-called hospital, closer to the Berbice psychiatric ward. And so they put that hospital there, closer to the bridge. And there was a reason for them to do that because they didn't want folks to go all the way into New Amsterdam. And they gradually started to take businesses away from New Amsterdam in order to stifle, the tongue of Linden. Sorry, well, Linden too, but we're talking about New Amsterdam, the tongue of New Amsterdam. And, New Amsterdam, the oldest tongue, probably the first and the oldest, since 1740 or somewhere thereabout. Some of you weren't born yet, but I know some of you were probably born during that time, 1740. Some of you are old heads, right? And you know what I mean by that. The Schultz is on with us. Some of the Schultz are from New Amsterdam. And if there are folks watching us right now in New Amsterdam, we say hello to all of you and hope all is well. We know under the corrupt PPP regime, we know what's going on there. And they're rushing in. Air finale, they're rushing in, suddenly hugging up the people of New Amsterdam, pretending that they love those people. Don't forget, don't fall for the trickery. Don't fall for anything, because many of you remember what New Amsterdam was like under the corrupt PPP regime. And for 23 plus years, they turned a blind eye on New Amsterdam. And look, I will give you my personal opinion on New Amsterdam. Since a little boy, we were under quarantine, and the excitement was always there. When you go to places like Rose Hall, it was like a little New York for us. From the little villages, you go to New Amsterdam, it's bright, shopping, the businesses, everything booming. The streets clean. Oh, yeah. Hardly had beggars. Hardly. Streets clean. Rose Hall, New Amsterdam market, well kept under the PNC government. A lot of them are going to want to come out and tell you the truth. Business was booming. Some were doing the little contraband with bringing in flour and sardine and so forth from Suriname and taking the stuff and putting it. As a little boy, we saw a lot of things. So I don't want to be a snitch tonight to tell you guys that sometimes they pack up at the bottom of the cars and so forth with sardine and a bottom layer in the car trunk and put the flour. I'm not going to be a snitch. I'm not going to tell you guys anything else. And I don't want you guys to know how they were smuggling flour and sardine and all sorts of things from Suriname to Guyana. And lots of people got rich. And the reason for that, it's not like flour was banned. It wasn't like those items were banned, like flour and split peas and all these things. They weren't banned, they were restricted. And while they were restricted because of the times, right, mind you, they weren't restricted because of anything else. They were just restricted as a result of the situation at the time. And a lot of them probably, maybe because Irfan and Bharat Jagdeo and them are not going to tell you guys this, at those who go to Babujan and so forth, that it was Chedi who agreed with the restriction of flour. Chedi supported that 100%. So how are you going to blame Burnham? And to say that Burnham banned those items when in fact there's a difference with banning and restricting. There was a restriction. And so Chedi and Burnham sat together. They probably knock a little glass of wine and Mobby or whatever. And they both agreed. And so this is what the PPP supporters have to understand. That Burnham didn't go into his Belfield home and sat down and drank some sort of expensive wine and these nonsense that you've been hearing. Burnham and Chedi agreed. Chedi supported Burnham 100%. And as it pertains to the restriction of flour and split peas and so forth, Chedi Jagan, the then opposition leader, supported then President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. He offered critical support for those items being restricted. So if you're going to blame Burnham, you might as well blame Jagan as well. So you can't blame Bornham and say Bornham banned this thing in order to be spiteful towards Guyanese of East Indian descent. That is not true. But even if you blame Bornham for that, blame Chetty Jagan too, because Chetty Jagan supported him 100% in the restriction of flour, with the restriction of split peas as well. So get it right. They don't want to get it right. They want to hide those facts from you, right? But let's get back to Amsterdam. But before we get back to Amsterdam, let me ask this question. How many of you are from New Amsterdam? And second question, how many of you have ever visited New Amsterdam? Y'all don't lie, right? Because I'm going to call you out. I'm going to know that you never visited New Amsterdam. But how many of you guys are from New Amsterdam? I noticed Wayne Caesar is in the audience with us. Thank you, Wayne, for joining us. Give our regards to your mom. But forget about Wayne. I can put my head on the block that Wayne has never gone to New Amsterdam. And I'll tell you guys who and who have never gone to New Amsterdam. That's in the audience right now. Sharon McPherson says she is from New Amsterdam. Fair enough. Wayne Caesar has never gone to New Amsterdam. If Gavin Caesar is watching, he has never gone to New Amsterdam. Let me see who else has never gone to New Amsterdam. Jem Vanfield looks as though she has never gone to New Amsterdam. Victor Ben, he probably barely drove around Georgetown. Never gone to New Amsterdam. Who else? Maxwell Beaton, never gone to New Amsterdam. Linda Ford, never gone to New Amsterdam. Gregory Lewis, seems as though he is a countryman. Savitri Rose, country. Elaine Charles, country, but she has never gone New Amsterdam. Yvonne Costello, never gone New Amsterdam. Gary Greenwich, okay, he said he went a few times. Corinne Day, never gone New Amsterdam. I'm running through the list to let you guys know who has never gone New Amsterdam. Okay, it's Maxwell Beaton, we done, yeah, never gone New Amsterdam. Naya Mutu, yeah, of course, that person, Terusa, gotta be from New Amsterdam. Cheryl Glenn, nah, she never gone New Amsterdam. Let's see who else has never. Dolly Jones, nah, she looked like she never gone New Amsterdam. Sherwin James, never gone New Amsterdam. Shoreen Green, nah, he must have barely made it past Buxton. Rhonda Lane, I think Rhonda went to New Amsterdam the other day, probably for the first time. Level Vibes says he is born in New Amsterdam. Lauren Beatty, sorry, I don't know if it's the correct way to pronounce that last name, but let me get back to your comment section. Michael Paddy said he's Burbician. Okay, fair enough. So you guys remember the good days of New Amsterdam. New Amsterdam for me was like a little New York. And I've said this before. It was bright. Business was booming. People didn't get time with anything other than go about and do their business, and that's it. And as a little boy, I was just concerned about that ice cream cone, and that's all. That was like life in England for me, right? An ice cream cone. And so lots and lots of good memories, beautiful memories. We'll get to the point shortly, though, with why we're talking about New Amsterdam. And this is a letter. This is a letter that that I saw back in 2010, and it was written by and published in the Kaitor News. Let me read this part of the letter. It says, "The most insane person would agree, I don't know, that New Amsterdam has anything but a bright future ahead, especially if it continues to be managed by those in its power spaces. This is the sad story of New Amsterdam, one in which many are living in a delusional fantasy world, which implies that all is well." And that was written in 2010 by the same guy who likes to go around and taste food and I think is Leon Susaran. Yeah. So that letter was written back in 2010 when the PPPC, when those folks were in office. In 2010, Jack Dew was quote unquote the president of the Guyana then. And since then, it was a horrible state. The point that I'm making is 99.9% of people who remember New Amsterdam for the 23 years that the PPPC was in office, that they did absolutely nothing to develop New Amsterdam. Every single thing to break the spirits, break the business community of New Amsterdam. They have done just that. And so suddenly, Irfan Ali wants to give this impression that he cares about New Amsterdam. And because it's elections time, they're rushing down, they're rushing into New Amsterdam right now, pretending that they love the people. But, let's take a look at how New Amsterdam used to be. At least this probably seemed like a slow day. This is the Stelling, right? New Amsterdam Stelling, as you guys probably heard. New Amsterdam Stelling, right? Sorry about that. I noticed some of you guys asking about Francine Cruz. Well, Francine probably barely traveled around Guyana. Um, so, so basically, look at this. This was the New Amsterdam Stelling. When you go and you cross, your cars line up there, and all those businesses, lots and lots of businesses, single mothers, probably single father, every single person made a living, planting chips man, nuts man, uh, all manner of things they were selling there at the Stelling. Businesses were booming. Those small little businesses, you stop by, you get a little sweet drinks or whatever we call it there, plantain chips, nuts, mitai, polori, bara. Every single day, those people went out there to make a living. Every single day. And Jack Deo and the PPP killed those businesses, destroyed destroyed the township of New Amsterdam. It was deliberate. And now these Pakus in the PPP are talking about development in New Amsterdam. How can you talk about development in New Amsterdam when you killed the business community? You killed people's businesses and livelihood in New Amsterdam. That is what they did. If you take a walk right now, please, if you ever visit Guyana, probably next week, next month, and you go to this Stelling. This is the New Amsterdam Stelling that you have to park up there and wait for Torani and those boats to take you all the way on the other side to Rosignol, right? And then when you go over to Rosignol, if you're hungry again, then businesses on both sides. And then the youngsters selling on the boat as well. Somebody singing, somebody blowing a mouth organ, and everybody made a hustle. Blind man come around, you tell you he blind. All manner of things. One day they had this blind guy, this guy who was supposedly blind, and then a lady, a nice looking, I heard this story from the older boys in the village. And so a very beautiful lady gave him something nice in his hand, and he, maybe a $20. Them days, a $20 was a lot, or maybe it was a brown paper money. The brown paper money was the $10 bill. I think the $20, what color was purplish looking, bluish, and then the $5 was green. But the woman gave him a $10, and the man had on his dark shades, and you could swear that the man was blind, right? He had on his dark shades. As soon as the lady put the $10, he turned, he said, "Thank you, sweetheart. You look beautiful, girl." He made a mistake, right? And that's how they knew that he wasn't blind. But the point is that everybody survived. Everybody. It doesn't matter your ethnicity. It doesn't matter your religion. Everybody survived. Everybody. You walked home. You go home at the end of the day, and you had something to cook. You had something to prepare for your family. Nobody starved. If you starved back then, it means that you probably just give up, so to speak, because you had your backyard, you plant something, you go around. Those were beautiful days, mind you. Enjoy those days. Sometimes I wish we could just restart and all over again. It was just beautiful days. And that is what New Amsterdam, back to New Amsterdam, it's just a beautiful township. Not because I went there and I had ice cream, had a cone, right? But it was beautiful. It was like a little New York, so to speak. The excitement, it was there, especially going around Christmas time. My little sister Vanny and I, those of you from the quarantine, if you remember my little sister Vanny, um, yeah, we would go to New Amsterdam and have fun there as little kids because it was so beautiful. And then after 1992, the PPP killed New Amsterdam. It was like they were just setting, it was like a deliberate act to target these townships and kill them. The same they did to Linden, another beautiful town that I remember as a little child too. Oh, yeah. That I remember as a little child too. 1 second, guys. You know, that I remember as a little child too, right? Um, and so, yeah, sometimes, I got to turn my phone off whenever I'm on. But at the end of the day, you know, the evidence is there that the PPP destroyed New Amsterdam. Now, because they want votes, they are rushing back there to New Amsterdam, pretending that they like the people. They don't like the people. All they want is votes. That's all they want. Nothing else. So if they could paku the people there, that is exactly what they are going to do. Look at this. These were beautiful days. This is one of those boats. I'm not sure if it's the Torani or whatever. And those guys were experts who loaded the boat with the cars. And those guys, trust me, I've never seen guys pack a boat with cars so neat. I don't know. Guyana has some talented people, really talented people. So I don't know how all those vehicles fitted in that boat. And the way in which they did it was just miraculous. So look, so after another diabolical plan by the PPP regime to build this bridge, this is the Berbice River Bridge, a flat-foot bridge, so to speak, that Jack Dale stole NIS money, hundreds of millions of dollars, and gave it to his friends and his cronies. That's exactly what happened. And so they took all of the businesses away from New Amsterdam, a deliberate act by the PPPC regime. So in taking away the businesses from New Amsterdam, and they built this bridge at the mouth of the Berbice River. Proper engineers said to them, do not do it. It's going to cost more, and it's going to cost more. It's going to cost more. Yep, sorry about that, guys. It's going to cost more, and it's not going to last long. But the PPP's agenda was basically to stifle the tongue of New Amsterdam. That is what they were about. And that is because the bridge, if it was built closer to I believe from the Rosignol side, over to Stanley Tongue area, then business would have been booming. Property values would have gone up and all these things in the area. But it was a deliberate attempt to stifle the township of Linden and put the bridge at the Berbice Riverhead. So when the bridge from, as you cross over to Berbice, East Berbice, that's Palmyra. And as you cross over to Palmyra, it cuts off the energy, cuts off the traffic into New Amsterdam and kill the businesses there. They shut down Rosignol ferry stelling and New Amsterdam ferry stelling, and hundreds of people lost livelihoods. They couldn't take care of their families any longer as a result of the heartlessness of the corrupt PPP regime. That is what they have done. And the deliberate act to put the bridge at the Berbice River. So when you cross the mouth of the Berbice River, sorry, and so when you cross the and head over to Palmyra, you just most of the traffic will make that left and they pass Palmyra, number 19, and maybe another small village, and they go straight up the quarantine. And so when folks are coming from the quarantine, going to Georgetown, instead of driving through New Amsterdam and go through the New Amsterdam Stelling and support those businesses there and so forth, they just drive from there, make that turn into Palmyra, straight to the bridge, and that's it. So they have been stifling and economically strangle the tongue of New Amsterdam, compliments of the corrupt PPP regime. That's precisely what they have been doing. And so, folks in New Amsterdam, as the PPPC goes in, those members go into your community, begging you for votes and so forth, you must be able to chase them. Chase them out. Tell them, no, you've destroyed New Amsterdam. And suddenly now they want to come back and pretend as though they love you. Tell them, remind them about the cemetery, right? Remind them about Stanley Tong Cemetery. Remind them about these things. Remind them about how they ignore these places. They never cared about anything. They starved the township. They starved the municipality of New Amsterdam. And so they can't blame the municipality. They have to blame themselves, because at the end of the day, they knew why they were stifling the tongue of New Amsterdam. So when you see, some folks are focusing on my head and not on the subject matter. Guyanese in the down here, you know. So when you see Irfan Ali and Jack Dave and these guys going into New Amsterdam, pretending as though they care, the truth is they do not care. That's the truth. They just do not care. All they want is votes. That is all they want. And if they can brainwash the people, especially younger people who probably don't know what the PPP did to New Amsterdam, hopefully the opposition folks, hopefully, will remind the younger generation what the PPP did to the township of New Amsterdam. I'm familiar with that area for many reasons. Many reasons. Look, this was back in 2010 or 2011. People from New Amsterdam, they went to, Freedom House in New Amsterdam, and they protested. Look at the condition of the roads and so forth. The people were protesting. Some of the protesters in front of Freedom House, they were protesting for better roads. They were protesting for lights. Under the PPP regime in 2010, 2011, because the PPP didn't care about the people. For 20-something years, they didn't care about the people. Look at this. This is the same guy who wrote back in 2011. The guy that likes to eat, Leon. Angois Avenue, residents protest for electricity. In 2011, the people were still protesting for electricity. The people were still protesting for a good life. For themselves, of course, the adults, the children, all manner of things. I am familiar with Angois Avenue. I've visited there on numerous occasions. We have done charitable works there through the Benschop Foundation. So I'm quite aware as to how the people were ill-treated under the corrupt PPP regime. And this article says that back in 2011, several residents of Angois Avenue held a picketing exercise in front of PPP's Freedom House in New Amsterdam on Thursday to protest. This was back in 2011, mind you, to protest what they said were broken promises of the Region 6 chairman and Barajak Dio. Broken promises. According to one protester, Patrick Budi, quote, the regional chairman lied to us, and also the president, meaning Bara Jagdeo, lied to them. So what Bara Jagdeo and these guys did back then, they went, because it was during elections time. Again, they went and they promised the people all sorts of things. And so when they promise, I noticed somebody said, Mark, I want you to blast AP and YouTube. But today is not the day to blast AP and news. Every day, man. Oh, man. Sometimes y'all got to be a little reasonable to the man. Let me blast the PPP and expose their hypocrisy and expose their corruption today, no, man. Oh, man. Oh, Anjan, not today. Not today. But let's get back into blasting the PPP and their hypocrisy. And so the people went out and they were protesting because they didn't like the sort of things and the treatment by the PPP regime. Look at this. This was September of 2015. Now let's fact. This is what the PPP left for the coalition to take over. This is what the PPP left for them. Take a look. Take a look at the conditions of those people at Angois Avenue. Just take a look. Take a look. Take a look. This is what the PPP left for the coalition. When the coalition took over in 2015, this article, I believe it's a Stabrook News article written by Deslon Daniels. Quote, we hearing about how the country doing well and thing, but like we ain't getting the benefits too. These are members of Angois Avenue. They said them in getting the benefits too because the PPP dry up everything, stole out millions upon millions of dollars, gave it to their friends and their cronies. And so when they left office, the poor APNU AFC had so much that they had to do. They had to clean up all that mess they had to clean up that the PPPC left behind. All that mess. Again, I repeat, all that mess they left behind. The poor APNU AFC government had to clean up the sugar industry. They had to clean up Angois Avenue. Look, most of the houses in Angois Avenue are wooden and erected by the residents. And so the PPP never cared. Ask Jagdev if he ever, while he was president or quote unquote president, if he ever gone through there. When Irfan Ali was minister of housing, you ask if he has ever gone through there and you'll get the answer. Trust me, you will get the answer. Look at it again. Vanessa and her son Joshua. This was back in 2011, 2010 or sometime back then. Angois Avenue again. I know the area pretty well because we have worked there through the Benschop Foundation. We have worked there. And this is not what we're looking for, but we have worked there, pupils of St. Mary's Nursery School in New Amsterdam, as well as single mothers of Angois Avenue were elated when they received a quantity of items on Tuesday. This was back in 2010, 2011, that they received from the Benschop Foundation. And lots of people, hundreds of young people in the area were given free computer courses. They were given, the single mothers got a chance for hair and nails and these sort of things, free of cost, free. Jagdev and the PPP never cared. They turned a blind eye on the people of not just Angois Avenue, but New Amsterdam in general. So when they come to you and they complain and they try to give the impression that the AP and UAFC government ignore these, it's not true. It is the PPP. Now, because they have little oil resources and so forth, because they have that, they're rushing now and they're dashing it out left, right, and center with no plan, no policy, nothing in place. And let me just remind them, this was in 2010. This young man, Richard Fresco, recipient of a wheelchair, the PPP regime didn't care about him. They just didn't give a rat's you know what about him at all. They didn't care whether he survived or whatever. And this is a guy who worked. He was a hard worker. He worked at one of the sawmills, based on my recollection, right? I'm getting up there, mind you. And he worked at a sawmill. and he fell, he injured. Nobody cared. The Ministry of Human Services, they never cared. Back then, I think it was Bibi Shadiq who was the minister. They didn't care. Jagdia didn't care. Irfan Ali didn't care. None of them give a damn about how people lived at Angois Avenue or in New Amsterdam, and by extension, throughout the country. And so it was just not just the Benschop Foundation, but I'm just telling you what I know and what the Benschop Foundation did with the help of lots of maybe some of you who are watching here tonight who assisted with no strings attached, by the way. Yeah. So Richard Fresco, that's his name, of Angois Avenue, and we're joined by Wayne Caesar. We'll get to Mr. Caesar shortly, even though this is his show and I'm just sitting in for him. So he wanted to say a quick hi to you guys as well. So Richard Fresco of Angois Avenue, New Amsterdam, Berbice, who injured his spine in an accident over a year ago, was on Friday the recipient of a wheelchair compliments of Guyanese doctor residing in Canada. The bench presented the wheelchair on behalf of the donor. Photo, the guy, Frisco's mother, Virginia Beatrice Giddings, and Frisco in the wheelchair. Now, I'm just reminding you guys as to how the PPP ignored the people of New Amsterdam. But let's just welcome. I don't want to have Mr. Caesar wait any longer because I might not get the opportunity to sit in for him any longer. Mr. Caesar, good night, sir. How are you?
Good evening, Mark, and a pleasant good evening to the freedom fighters. I want to thank everyone for joining the program this evening, sharing the link, and yes, I wouldn't have missed taking some time or spending some time, you know, on the program today. I had a bit of an emergency, Mark. I thank you so much for stepping in at the last moment. I really, really appreciate it. But one of the things that I was looking at as I looking on the program that you've highlighted, I was looking at the cemetery, it's a final resting place, for so many individuals. And it just goes to show you, okay, that this PPP government have no humility whatsoever. All right. They don't care about people. They don't care about people in life, much less in death. And this is horrible. This is despicable. All right. Here you have a government that is not people centric. They have no empathy whatsoever, and we can see it here. Look at the condition of this cemetery. You could see that it lack proper drainage. Look at some of the tombs, they're open, it is so lawless. And it aligns with what this government is all about. And I know, Mark, a lot have happened last week, and I have not really gotten to say much on that. And I wouldn't say much this evening. I encourage everyone to join straight up during the week because I will be on, and you guys will get my thoughts on what would have transpired last week. And my thoughts are very, very interesting. Okay, so I encourage you guys to join for sure next week. We're gonna go through all of this, but one thing I can say in summary, brothers and sisters, is that black lives are not for sale. Okay, there's not a price tag on a black life, and no one can buy life. Okay, you have it, and when somebody take it away from you, you no longer have it. Okay, we all love life, we all want to be here. Okay, and what happened, what transpired this last week here, okay, it's, I don't know, it just shows you, and my opinion on what would have happened to these two young men, these two non-East Indian young men. Okay, it didn't happen by chance, it was by design. Okay, a lot of people said two young men died. Two young men did not die. Two young men were executed by the state. Okay, I see that the RSS is on the ground again in Guyana, and the last time they were on the ground in Guyana, they did not do the job. Okay, we're still waiting for justice for Isaiah and Joel Henry and so many others, Mark. I have no confidence in the RSS. That's where they always jump to. What happened to the FBI? What happened to Scotland Yard? The United States have so much influence in Guyana. Is it not possible to get the FBI to look at this one? I believe it is possible, but I believe the PPPC just doesn't want to go that route. Okay. And if this goes down, Mark, without that officer, look, when that officer left that vehicle, when I look back at that video and I've looked at it over and over, when that officer left that vehicle, you can tell that he had bad intentions. Okay. He had bad intentions. And he just run down that youth, corner him, and executed him. Okay, that is what happened right before our eyes. Over to you, Mr. Benschop.
All right. Give our regards to your mom and wish her a speedy recovery from all of us. We'll see you at some time next week on Straight Up. But for now, thank you so much for this call in, Mr. Caesar. Appreciate it. And your folks miss you on Over to You. Appreciate it. Again, give our regards to your mom and speedy recovery to her.
Yes, Mom. Mark, she just sent a message out to the audience, thanking them for all the well wishes, thanking you also for letting the audience know that she wasn't feeling well. So thank you so very
Yeah.
much, and everyone, I'll see you during the week on Straight Up.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you so much, Mr. Caesar. Yeah.
Right.
All right, Wayne Caesar there for you guys. His mom is a little under the weather. Please pray for her. But as we prepare to wrap up tonight's program, I want to point out one quick thing. And Wayne is correct about the RSS guys. There's no confidence in them, absolutely none. At least I don't, and I know most of you, 99% of you, don't either. But let us go back to New Amsterdam. The focus for tonight, New Amsterdam. And I want all of you who are from New Amsterdam, do not buy into the trickery of the PPPC regime. We were told that lots of folks were forced to go to those meetings. They were given red T-shirts and all sorts of things to just go in and do whatever at that meeting. A lot of people were uncomfortable. They weren't sure what is it that they were there for. And the PPP is intimidating people. They are attempting to buy votes, giving people a little 5,000, threatening those part-time workers, those 10 days workers or whatever you call them, all manner of things. And people are uncomfortable by these things, but they're forced to. If they're watching, if some of them are watching tonight, we are with you guys. Our prayers are with you. We understand what the PPP is doing. But there is someone that when I listen to this lady, it doesn't make sense. Now, this is not to attack anybody who might be recovering addict or anything of this sort. But what this lady said at this paid PPP meeting, was that, and it is so wrong. It is so wrong because if you are going to tell a story, you must be able to tell the full story. And what she hasn't done is that she didn't tell the true story at all. That, of course, they used to live, the family and so forth of this woman used to live Charles Place. That's Backdam half. And that's those of you who are familiar with that area would know that her entire family was strong PNC. Strong PNC. And of course, she once lived at Charles Place, which is the Backdam half. Maybe she moved from there. I don't know. But nobody knows her as a junkie. But yet at this so-called PPP meeting, with some of them were bussed in and taken in and all these sort of things there to make up the crowd. And most of those people were very unhappy. And so at this so-called meeting, she got up and she basically said that she was a junkie under the coalition. And now let's break it down. So she was a junkie from when the PNC, APNU or APNU AFC took over, right? In 2015, she was a junkie. And as soon as the PPP got installed on August 2nd, 2020, she's no longer a junkie. She's no longer a junkie. So she was only a junkie during the time that the coalition was in office. And so because she was a junkie under the coalition, she blamed the coalition for this. So she said under the coalition, she was a junkie. So wait a minute. So the coalition turned her into a junkie? Do you know how many persons were junkies under the PPP regime for 23 years? But yet this woman come out and look, when these people, and you could tell that even Irfan didn't believe her story, right? Nobody, if you call somebody in New Amsterdam right now, if you think I'm lying, Keith Isidan, Henry Sr. and so forth and others, and Victor Ben, contact somebody you guys know in New Amsterdam and ask them about this woman. They will tell you that they don't know her to be a junkie. But what they do know is that 2 years ago, she decided to switch. 2 years ago, she decided to join the PPPC. And so in order to get little prags and so forth and so on, she got to go up there and say these things. Whoever behind the scene that might be propping her to say it, and that if she says it, then she's going to get an extra something. Whatever that extra something is, I don't know. But no one has this evidence to substantiate her point that she was a junkie. Not laughing at the situation. My heart is always out for people who encounter whatever difficulties in their lives. And so the impression she wants to give is that from the time the coalition took office in 2015, she became a junkie. During that entire period, she was a junkie. And now she's no longer a junkie because the PPPC is in office. It sounds like kind of like a Jimmy Swaggart kind of thing. You know, you guys remember Jimmy Swaggart? Jimmy Swaggart will touch somebody. I got to be careful because the corrupt PPP regime, Clip Kwame and them, they watch these shows. And when they see anything, when they hear anything that they like, they cut out the piece of clip and they gone running with it, right? Because they're desperate. Imagine they're now depending on people like me now. They're cutting out a piece of clip now and run and say, and guess what now? They're saying, y'all hear? This is what Benschop said. This is what Benschop is saying. I've always been consistent across the board. So they're now listening. Let me say, hello, Clip. Hi, Clip. They're watching because they want to they're desperate. They know that they're going to lose the elections. And the combined opposition can do it. All they got to do is get their act together and not be distracted. Not be distracted by Sam Guru and Gurus who run a little personal war. Do not be distracted, guys. Y'all can win this thing. But let us get back to Auntie. By the way, I like that dress. I like that dress. Don't get me wrong. And so she said that she was a junkie. And she said that they used to go for medication. I don't know what sort of medication. It's none of my bloody business. None of my business, mind you. So, and that there were hardly drugs. Well, I don't know what kind of pharmaceutical drugs, obviously, at the hospital. And then under the PPP regime, she's claiming that, oh, wow, things have changed. That's according to her. But that is not true. That is not true. Let us welcome Sean Anthony Ben. He's now here with us, distracted by my head. And so this is what they do, guys. This is what they do. She doesn't have a story to tell, but as Sharma would say, because she feels that she wants to suck up to the PPP regime, that she has to tell a story that she was a junkie only during the coalition time. And she got healed soon as the PPP got into office. What a story. How many of you guys turn to your neighbors and say, me and believe she, right? Me and believe she, you know? I mean, she looks like a younger version or an older version of Fata, if you ask me. Good night to Fata if she's watching. Um, but take a look at this. Nobody knows her as a junkie. All her, everybody within her family, they're all strong PNC people. But 2 years ago, it was during the local government election, she decided to do a little switch up. Maybe Barbara Pilgrim, maybe, I don't know, maybe Barbara Pilgrim, maybe Carol Trimbag. I don't know. Probably said, girl, come along with me because, they were out throwing a cast net, pull it in, pulling in, pulling in. But people are now walking away from them. You walk along New Amsterdam, you go to Pitt Street, you go to anywhere, Main Street, you go to Rijmenswerven, you go to Mount Sinai, and even if you go through Koudam and those places, and you ask, the people are fed up of the PPPC because those people who are on the ground, who are supposed to be doing something for the PPPC, working with the PPPC, most residents of New Amsterdam, they will tell you that those people are working for themselves. They're getting contracts, they're getting all sorts of things. Some eating pulori now with sour and all things, and they don't care about the people. But they were lucky enough to grab this woman. She complained about the pharmaceutical drugs at the hospitals and so forth. But it wasn't. Guess what? Because under the PPPC regime, for 23 years, they destroyed the health sector. There were hardly any drugs in the hospitals. The billions of dollars of drugs that were giving out, the billions of dollars of drugs were giving out to Jagbier's friends, Bobby Ramroop, who had to bring in those sort of pharmaceutical drugs. And many of them, maybe they had serious problems, who knows? And others are the friends of the PPP regime who probably brought in expired drugs and these sort of things. That is what's been going on. That is what's been going on. And so the truth must be told. It's not a matter of wasting energy on her, but the subject matter is important. The modus operandi of these individuals must be told in order to remind individuals and let people know that we are basically about to expose the propaganda, expose the hypocrisy of the PPP regime, because many of you would know that the best time that the health sector have had in a long time was under the coalition government. Health centers were built, whether at Kildonan, whether in Port Morant. Under the PPP regime, you go to Port Morant Hospital, there was nothing there. Mothers were dying, pregnant mom or expected mothers, they were dying. In New Amsterdam Hospital, Skelden Hospital, and so forth and so on. They were just dying out. And thank God for the coalition government was able to rescue the health sector that was in the intensive care unit. And that is what's happening again. The only thing that is saving Guyana right now is the billions of dollars from the oil money. The billions, and that's it. That's the only thing that is saving Guyana right now. So when this lady or anybody like her come with Jim Cockbring Rambo's story, just ignore it. As someone from New Amsterdam said to me, that it's a lie. That they said they recently went to a clinic on probably sometime last week, and they still don't have any medication. They do not have medication. Nurses and doctors right now in New Amsterdam or Skelden Hospital or Port Morant Hospital or even the clinics, they will tell you that it is not true. They don't have drugs right now. And some of those drugs are expired under the corrupt PPP regime. So don't let them, folks in New Amsterdam, don't let them fool you. Remember what they have done to your township. Remember how they ignored you guys. Remember how you had to go out and protest. Remember the conditions under which they had you guys living for 20-something years. Remember what they did to New Amsterdam Hospital. And remember all the things that they have done to all of you. Remember what they have done to the Rosignol, the New Amsterdam Stelling as well. Remember how they have stifled you guys from business, stifle the entire township. and the disrespect of the dead as well. Lots and lots of things that you have to remember as you prepare for the upcoming elections. A vote for the PPPC is a vote for backwardness, is a vote for corruption, is a vote for people to continue living in misery under the PPP regime, because all they care about is friends, families, and favorites. That's all. They're only pretending as they care that they care about you now because it suits their purpose. But just like the people who protested in front of Freedom House in 2011, just as they protested and say, what is it that they said back then? That the PPP, and to be exact, this is what they said. Several residents of Angois Avenue held a picketing exercise in front of PPP's Freedom House. That's 2011. They did that to protest what they said were broken promises of Region 6 Chairman and President Bharat Jagdeo. According to one protester, Patrick Budai, I believe, quote, the regional chairman lied to us, and also the president lied to the people of New Amsterdam, lied to the people of Angois Avenue. And so what they are doing in New Amsterdam now, by taking what Irfan Ali and his crew did, they took a bunch of people from outside of New Amsterdam at those meetings, those so-called meetings, probably paid them, who knows, probably tell them, give them a script to say that they were junkies and all manner of things. And guess what? It's not working. So the same propaganda, the same trickery, they're going to take in other parts of the country. They're going to take it to Bartica. They're going to take it to Lethem. They're going to take it to Madhya. They're going to take it to Linden. They're going to take it to Sophia. Lies, lies, lies. I hope they're not going to take it to Mocha, because the people of Mocha will remind them of the discrimination, will remind them of the brutality. Same is the case, will be the case, the people in Linden and Ituni and Kokwani and throughout the country. People are prepared to reject the corrupt PPP regime. Again, I say though, the folks in the opposition, they need to get their act together. As we prepare to wind up on tonight's program, somebody said that James Bond, that jumper, right? James Bond was praising the police force in the midst of what happened to these two young men in Linden who were murdered. But yet James Bond was finding all sort of Jim Cockbring Ramgoat story to paint a picture as though the Guyana police force is doing such a wonderful job. This is the same James Bond when he got a couple of pellets on his back. It wasn't the views that he has today. It's not the same views he had when he got those pellets in his back. The police force were corrupt. They were murderous. They were committing extrajudicial killings. All manner of things they were doing that were so bad. But suddenly, because James Bond is eating little cookies, eating little pulori, ambara, and drinking little dal, he's now talking a different story about the police force. Shame on people like them. But more to come, more we have to talk right here on 107.1 FM. Again, thank you all so much. It's Saturday. We've got to go, though. And as you continue to pray for Wayne Caesar's mom, and of course, we got to mention Gavin Caesar's mom as well. We got to pray for a better Guyana also. Pray for her recovery. And we also have to pray for Guyana to recover. And I'm optimistic that Guyana will recover. Until Monday, same time for Straight Up, that is, from 9 o'clock until 10. I'll see you guys. God bless you all, and God bless that beautiful country. Keep hope alive.
I can't take it no more. I can't take it no more. Can't take it no more. Imagine 18 hours of blackout, and you're telling people progress. Cost of living gone up 100%, yet you give public servant less. Mr. President, listen to the people. Search your soul and you will confess.
there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Sujurong?
So my relationship? Nothing. He's a
Oh, Jesus Christ, if cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You gotta get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You gotta get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a fortnight man.